Part 1. The Desperate Call. The war had already been lost. At least, that was what most of the galaxy believed. Far beyond the quiet stars, in the deep black of space, a massive battle was ending. Broken ships floated like dead bodies. Fire and light flashed for a moment, and then disappeared into silence. The Alliance fleet, once the strongest force in the galaxy, was falling apart. They had fought for years. They had used their best weapons. They had sent their greatest warriors. But none of it was enough, because their enemy did not fight like them. The enemy had no fear, no emotion, no mercy. They were known as the Virex, a species that moved like machines. They did not speak. They did not negotiate. They did not stop. They only advanced. Planet after planet, system after system. They destroyed everything in their path. And now only a few systems remained. Inside a damaged command ship, the last leaders of the Alliance gathered. The room was dark. Screens flickered. Red warning lights blinked slowly. No one spoke for a long time. They all knew the truth. This was the end. A tall, silver-skinned commander finally broke the silence. "We have lost 90% of our fleet," he said in a low voice. "Our weapons are useless against them. Our strategies have failed." Another leader, with glowing blue eyes, looked down. "They adapt too fast," she said. "Every time we change, they change faster." A third voice spoke, weak and tired. "There is no victory left, only delay." Silence returned again. Heavy, cold, hopeless. Then suddenly a small alert sound echoed in the room. Beep. Everyone looked up. A young officer stepped forward, confused. "We are receiving a signal," he said. The commanders exchanged looks. "A signal?" the silver commander asked. "From who?" The officer hesitated. Then he said something unexpected. "It's from Earth." The room went completely still. For a moment, no one reacted. Then a few quiet laughs filled the air. "Earth?" one leader said with disbelief. "The human world? They are not even part of the Alliance," another added. "They refuse to join us." "They are too primitive," someone said. "Too divided. Too emotional." The silver commander raised his hand. "Silence," he ordered. He looked at the officer. "Play the message." The screen flickered. For a second, nothing appeared. Then a human face came into view. A man. Calm. Serious. Wearing a simple uniform. No fear in his eyes. No panic. Just focus. "This is Commander Elias Ward of Earth Defense Forces," the man said. His voice was steady. Clear. Different from the fear that filled the room. "We have been watching your war," he continued. "We understand the situation." Some leaders shifted uncomfortably. The human spoke as if he already knew everything. "As of now," Elias said, "we are offering assistance." A quiet murmur spread across the room. "Assistance? From humans?" It almost sounded like a joke. The blue-eyed leader leaned forward. "You are too late," she whispered. "The war is over." But the message continued. "We will join the fight," Elias said. "We request your remaining fleet to hold position for 48 hours. 48 hours? That was impossible. They could barely survive for one. The silver commander frowned. "On what basis do you make this request?" he asked quietly, even though he knew the human could not hear him. As if answering him, Elias spoke again. "We do not fight like you," he said. That line made the entire room go silent again. There was something strange about it. Something unsettling. "We are sending coordinates," Elias added. "Follow them if you choose to trust us." The screen went black. The message ended. Silence filled the room once more. But this time it felt different. Confusion. Doubt. A small, dangerous spark of curiosity. "They are asking us to trust them?" one leader said. "Humans. This is madness," another replied. "They have no advanced fleets. No powerful weapons. What can they possibly do?" The young officer spoke again. "There is more," he said carefully. All eyes turned to him. "We are detecting human ships," he continued. The room froze. "How many?" the silver commander asked. The officer looked at his screen. Then his expression changed. "Very few," he said. "How few?" the commander repeated. The officer swallowed. "Less than 50. A wave of disbelief spread through the room. 50 ships? Against the Virex? It was not just hopeless. It was suicide. "They will be destroyed in minutes," someone said. "They don't understand what they are facing," another added. The blue-eyed leader shook her head slowly. "This is not bravery," she said. "This is ignorance." But the silver commander did not speak. He kept staring at the empty screen. Thinking. Watching. Waiting. "Show me the human fleet," he finally said. The main screen changed. A small group of ships appeared. Simple design. No heavy armor. No glowing weapons. They looked ordinary. Weak. Completely out of place in a war like this. "They are moving toward the front lines," the officer said. A few leaders turned away. They could not watch. They had seen too many ships die already. But the Silver Commander kept looking. There was something about the way those ships moved. Slow. Careful. Not rushed. Not afraid. Just controlled. "Open a channel," the commander suddenly said. The officer blinked. "To the humans?" he asked. "Yes," the commander replied. The connection took a few seconds. Then, the same human face appeared again. Commander Elias Ward. He looked exactly the same as before. Calm. Focused. As if he was not about to enter a losing battle. "This is Alliance Command," the Silver Commander said. "You are entering a war zone you do not understand." Elias nodded slightly. "We understand enough," he replied. "You cannot win this," the commander said. "We have tried everything." Elias was quiet for a moment. Then he said something simple. "You tried everything your way." That answer made the room tense. "What does that mean?" the blue-eyed leader asked sharply. Elias looked directly at them. "It means," he said, "you are fighting to survive." A pause. Then he continued. "We are fighting to win." No one spoke. Because deep down, they knew the difference. The Silver Commander leaned forward. "And how do you plan to do that?" he asked. Elias did not answer immediately. Instead, he said something else. "Hold your position," he repeated. 48 hours. "That is impossible," the commander said. "Not if you trust us," Elias replied. Trust. That word again. In a war where trust had already failed them many times. The connection ended. This time, the silence that followed was heavy with tension. Not just hopelessness, but conflict, doubt, possibility. "What if they are right?" the young officer whispered. "They are not," someone quickly said. "They cannot be." But the Silver Commander did not agree. He stood there, thinking deeply, looking at the small human fleet on the screen. So few ships, so little power. And yet, they came anyway. Not running, not hiding, not surrendering. He slowly turned to the others. "We have nothing left," he said. No one argued. Because it was true. "Our fleets are broken," he continued. "Our weapons have failed. Our strategies have failed." He paused, then said the words no one expected. "So, we will try theirs." The room erupted in shock. "You cannot be serious," one leader shouted. "This is madness. They will get us all killed." But the commander did not raise his voice. He simply said, "We are already dying." Silence. Again. But this time, no one had an answer. The officer looked back at his screen. "Human fleet is approaching enemy range," he said. Everyone turned to watch. The small group of ships moved forward. Toward the Virex. Toward certain destruction. Or something else. No one knew. "Not yet." The blue-eyed leader whispered softly. "What are they doing?" No one answered. Because at that moment, even the impossible started to feel uncertain. And far away, in the cold darkness of space, the first human ship crossed into enemy territory. The battle was about to begin. And everything was about to change. Part 2, The Strange Strategy. The first human ship crossed into enemy territory, and nothing happened. No explosion. No sudden attack. No bright flash of destruction. Just silence. Inside the Alliance command room, every leader stared at the screen, confused. "That's not possible," one of them whispered. "The Virex never waited. They attacked instantly. Always. But this time they didn't." "Are the enemy sensors damaged?" the blue-eyed leader asked quickly. The young officer shook his head. "No," he said. "The Virex fleet is fully active. Weapons are online. They see the human ships." "Then why are they not firing?" someone else asked. No one had an answer. On the screen, the small human fleet kept moving forward. Slow. Steady. Almost peaceful. It didn't look like an attack. It looked like they were walking into a storm, without fear. "Open channel to human commander," the Silver Commander ordered. The connection came alive again. Commander Elias Ward appeared. Still calm. Still focused. "You have entered their range," the Silver Commander said. "Why are they not attacking you?" Elias glanced to the side for a moment, as if checking something. Then he replied simply, "Because we are not a threat." The room fell silent. Not a threat, the blue-eyed leader repeated. You are in the middle of a war. Elias nodded. Yes, he said, but not in the way they understand. Before anyone could ask more questions, the signal suddenly flickered. A warning alarm echoed across the command ship. Enemy movement detected, the officer shouted. Finally, the Virex fleet began to react. Hundreds of dark, sharp ships shifted their formation. They turned slowly toward the humans. Weapons began to glow. Energy levels rising. They are locking targets, the officer said. Time to impact? The commander asked. 10 seconds. The room held its breath. On the screen, the human ships did something unexpected. They stopped. Completely. Right in front of the enemy. They've stopped, someone said in disbelief. Why would they stop? 5 seconds, the officer said. The Virex ships charged their weapons. Bright red energy filled the darkness. Everyone expected the same result they had seen 100 times before. Total destruction. 3 seconds. But then, the human ships disappeared. Gone. Vanished. What? The officer shouted. They just dropped off sensors. The room exploded with confusion. That's impossible. They don't have that level of cloaking technology. Where did they go? The silver commander stepped forward. Scan the area, he ordered. Now. The sensors swept the battlefield. Nothing. No human ships. Only the Virex fleet, now confused. For the first time, the enemy paused. They lost their targets, the officer said slowly. A strange feeling filled the room. Hope. Small. Weak. But real. Then suddenly, new signals detected, the officer shouted. Where? The commander asked. Behind them. The main screen shifted. And there they were. The human ships. Now positioned behind the Virex fleet. How did they? The blue-eyed leader started but couldn't finish. Before anyone could react, the humans attacked. Not with massive weapons. Not with powerful blasts. But with something precise. Targeted strikes. They hit specific points on the enemy ships. Engines. Sensors. Communication nodes. Small explosions. But perfectly placed. The Virex ships began to slow. To drift. To lose coordination. They're not destroying them, the officer said, confused. They're disabling them. Why? Someone asked. No one understood. The humans could not win with such weak attacks. Or could they? The Virex fleet reacted quickly. They turned again. Faster this time. Learning. Adapting. They are adjusting their formation, the officer warned. Human ships are retreating, another voice said. On the screen, the human fleet moved away. Not running in panic, but pulling back with control. They are leaving? One leader said. That's it. The silver commander shook his head slowly. No, he said. This is not over. And he was right. Minutes later, the humans returned. From a different direction. Again appearing suddenly. Again striking quickly. Again disappearing. Hit. Fade. Move. Repeat. Over and over. The pattern continued. And slowly, something impossible began to happen. The Virex fleet started to break. Not physically, but mentally. Their perfect coordination was failing. They are reacting slower, the officer said. Some ships are not responding, another added. They are confused, the blue-eyed leader whispered. Confused. The one thing the Virex had never been. Inside the human command ship, things were very different. There was no panic. No chaos. Only quiet focus. Commander Elias stood at the center, watching every move. Phase 2, he said calmly. Yes, Commander, a human officer replied. Send the signal. Back in the Alliance command room, alarms suddenly lit up again. Energy spike detected, the officer shouted. From where? The commander asked. Multiple locations. The screen zoomed out, and what they saw made everyone freeze. Hidden across the battlefield. Small devices activated. Dozens of them. Left behind by the human ships during their attacks. They planted something, the blue-eyed leader said. What are those? Someone asked. Before anyone could answer, the devices exploded. Not with fire. Not with destruction. But with energy waves. Strange pulsing waves. The Virex ships froze. Completely. Weapons offline. Movement stopped. They're disabled, the officer said in shock. How is this possible? Another leader asked. The silver commander stared at the screen. Realization slowly forming in his mind. They were not attacking to win, he said quietly. They were preparing the battlefield. At that moment, Commander Elias appeared on screen again. "You see now," he said calmly. The blue-eyed leader stepped forward. "You planned this," she said. "From the beginning." Elias nodded. "Yes. You knew their weakness," she added. "We studied them," Elias replied. "For years." The room went silent. Years. While the rest of the galaxy was fighting blindly, humans were learning, watching, waiting. "You let us lose," one leader said, anger in his voice. Elias looked at him. "No," he said. "You chose to fight your way." That answer hit hard. Because it was true. The Silver Commander took a deep breath. "What happens next?" he asked. Elias turned slightly, looking at his own screens. "Now," he said, "we push them." As if on command, the human fleet moved again. But this time, they were not running. They were advancing. Straight toward the frozen Virex ships. "This is the moment," Elias said. "Use your remaining fleet." The Alliance leaders looked at each other. For the first time in a long time, they had a chance. A real chance. The Silver Commander made his decision. "All fleets," he ordered, his voice strong again. "Prepare to engage." Ships across the battlefield responded. Broken. Damaged. But still alive. They moved forward. Together. Following the humans. For the first time. Not as leaders. But as followers. The battle had changed. Completely. But just as hope began to rise, a new alarm screamed across the command room. "Commander!" the officer shouted. Massive energy surge detected. Everyone turned to the screen. And what they saw made their blood run cold. From deep within the Virex fleet, a massive structure began to move. Larger than anything they had seen before. Dark. Silent. Powerful. "What is that?" the blue-eyed leader whispered. The sensors struggled to read it. Energy levels rising rapidly. Higher than all the ships combined. The officer's voice shook. "It's a command unit," he said. "Their central core. The heart of the Virex." Awakened. Even Elias, for the first time, went silent. On his screen, the massive structure turned slowly. And then, it locked onto the human fleet. Energy began to gather. Brighter. Stronger. Deadlier than anything before. The officer counted with fear in his voice. "If that fires, everything will be destroyed." The room froze. Hope stopped. And in that moment, everyone realized something terrifying. The enemy had finally taken them seriously. And the real battle was just beginning. Part 3, the turning point. The massive Virex command core did not rush. It did not panic. It simply prepared. In the dark silence of space, its surface began to shift. Panels moved like living metal. Energy lines glowed across its body, forming a network of power that pulsed like a heartbeat. But it was not alive. It was something colder. Something more precise. Inside the Alliance command ship, no one spoke. They all stared at the screen. At the thing that could end everything. "It's charging," the young officer said, his voice shaking. "Energy levels are beyond anything we have recorded." "How long?" the Silver Commander asked. The officer hesitated, then answered. "Less than 2 minutes." 2 minutes. That was all they had. The blue-eyed leader stepped forward. "If that weapon fires, the entire battlefield will be erased." No one argued, because they all knew it was true. Even the human fleet would not survive. All the progress, all the strategy, all the hope, gone in a single moment. "Open channel to human commander," the Silver Commander said quickly. The connection came alive. Commander Elias Ward appeared again. But this time, something was different. He was still calm. But now, there was tension in his eyes. He had expected many things. But this was new. "You did not tell us about this," the Silver Commander said. Elias nodded once. "Because it was not active before," he replied. The blue-eyed leader frowned. "So what is it?" Elias looked at the screen for a moment. Then he said something quietly. "It's their brain." The room went silent. "The Virex do not think like individuals," Elias continued. "They operate as a system. That is the center of it." "Their command?" someone asked. Elias shook his head slightly. "More than command," he said. "It learns. It adapts. It controls everything." A chill spread across the room. "So if we destroy it," the Silver Commander began. "They collapse," Elias finished. Hope flickered again. But only for a second. "Then why haven't we targeted it before?" the blue-eyed leader asked. Elias looked at her. "Because until now," he said, "it never showed itself." The truth hit hard. All this time, they had been fighting shadows. And now, the real enemy had stepped forward. But it came with a cost. It was ready to destroy everything. The officer's voice cut through the tension. Energy at 70%. Time was running out. The Silver Commander turned to Elias. "Can you stop it?" he asked. For the first time, Elias did not answer immediately. He looked down, thinking, calculating. Then he said something that made everyone freeze. "Not alone." Silence. Heavy. Sharp. "What does that mean?" the commander asked. Elias looked back up. "It means," he said, "this is where you fight with us." The room shifted. Fear and determination clashed in every face. "We don't have the power," one leader said. "You don't need power," Elias replied. "You need timing." That answer confused them. But there was no time to argue. "Explain," the Silver Commander demanded. Elias spoke quickly now. Focused. Precise. "We have been weakening their system," he said. "Disrupting their coordination. Slowing their response." He pointed to the screen. "The core is compensating. Taking direct control." The blue-eyed leader understood first. "That's why it activated," she said softly. Elias nodded. "Yes. It is trying to fix the damage. And while it does that," the Silver Commander said slowly, "it becomes vulnerable," Elias finished. "A dangerous idea. A risky chance. Maybe their only chance." The officer shouted again. Energy at 85%. The massive core glowed brighter. Space itself seemed to bend around it. "We don't have time," someone said. Elias leaned closer to the screen. "Listen carefully," he said. "This will only work once." The room fell completely silent. Even fear paused to listen. "We will draw its focus," Elias said. "Every human ship will move in." "That's suicide," the blue-eyed leader said immediately. "Yes," Elias replied. "No hesitation. No fear. Just truth. But it will force the core to target us," he continued. "All its power, all its attention." "And then?" the Silver Commander asked. Elias looked directly at him. "Then you strike." "With what?" someone shouted. "Our weapons can't destroy that thing." Elias's voice dropped. "Low. Steady. You don't destroy it," he said. "You break it." The words echoed in the room. "What does that mean?" the commander asked. Elias took a breath. "It's not just a weapon," he said. "It's a system. If you overload its processing, even for a moment, it will fail." The blue-eyed leader's eyes widened. "You want us to hit it from all sides," she said. At the same time, Elias nodded. "Yes. That kind of coordination," she whispered. "We've never done that." "You don't need perfect," Elias said. "You just need enough." The officer's voice trembled. 95% charge. Time was almost gone. The Silver Commander looked around the room. At the tired faces. The broken leaders. The last survivors of a dying alliance. This was it. Win or end. He turned back to the screen. To the human commander. To the only plan they had left. "All fleets," he said slowly, "prepare for synchronized attack." There was no cheering. No confidence. Just acceptance. Elias gave a small nod. "Good," he said. Then he turned away. Back to his own crew. "Final phase," he ordered. Inside the human ships, alarms began to sound. Pilots tightened their grip. Soldiers took deep breaths. No one smiled. But no one stepped back. They all knew what this meant. "Set course," Elias said. "Full forward." Back on the battlefield, the human fleet moved. Straight toward the Virex core. No more hiding. No more running. Just reported. "It's working," the blue-eyed leader whispered. The core began to glow even brighter. Faster. More unstable. It was choosing its target. Choosing the humans. "Alliance fleets in position," another officer said. Ships spread across the battlefield. Weak. Damaged. But ready. "Wait for it," the Silver Commander said. On the screen, the human ships got closer. 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 Too close. "They won't survive that range," someone whispered. Elias stood still on his bridge. Watching. Waiting. His voice came through one last time. "Do not miss." The core reached full charge. Light exploded from its surface. A weapon beyond anything they had seen. "Now!" the Silver Commander shouted. The Alliance fired. Everything they had. From every direction. Beams. Missiles. Energy waves. All hitting the core at once. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the core flickered. Just slightly. The light broke. The perfect system hesitated. "It's working," the officer shouted. "Keep firing." More attacks hit. More pressure. More overload. The core began to shake. Energy lines breaking apart. Control slipping. But then, something changed. "It's stabilizing," the officer yelled. The core adjusted. Learning. Fixing itself. Too fast. "It's not enough," someone shouted. "They're adapting." The light returned. Stronger. Deadlier. And now, angrier. It turned again. Faster this time. Smarter. And this time, it did not choose the humans. It chose everything. "All targets locked," the officer said in horror. The core was going to destroy all fleets at once. No escape. No second chance. The Silver Commander felt the weight of failure again. So close. And still not enough. But then, a new signal appeared. Small. Weak. Almost invisible. "What is that?" the blue-eyed leader asked. The sensors zoomed in. And there, right next to the core, was a single human ship. Damaged. Burning. But still moving. "How did it get there?" the officer shouted. No one knew. But one thing was clear. It was not part of the plan. Inside that ship, Commander Elias stood alone. His systems were failing. His crew gone. But his eyes were still focused. Still calm. Still human. He opened one last channel. "This is Elias Ward," he said quietly. The room froze. "What are you doing?" the Silver Commander demanded. Elias did not answer that. Instead, he said, "You were right." The commander frowned. "About what?" Elias looked at the glowing core. At the impossible enemy. At the war that should have been lost. "We can't win your way," he said. Then he smiled slightly. "But you can win ours." Before anyone could respond, his ship accelerated. Straight toward the core. "No!" the blue-eyed leader shouted. The screen filled with light. The core reacted. Too late. Too close. Too human. And in that final second, everything changed. Again, Part 4, The Human Edge. The light swallowed everything. For one long second, the battlefield disappeared. No ships. No stars. No sound. Just white. Blinding. Endless. Inside the Alliance command ship, every system went dark. Screens shut down. Signals vanished. Even the warning alarms went silent. It felt like the universe itself had stopped. Then, power returned. Slowly. One system at a time. The main screen flickered back to life. And what they saw no one expected. The Virex core was still there. But it was broken. Its perfect shape was gone. Large cracks spread across its surface. Energy leaked out in wild, unstable bursts. The smooth, controlled glow had turned into chaotic flashes. "It's damaged," the officer said in disbelief. The blue-eyed leader stepped closer. "No," she whispered. "It's worse than that." She pointed at the readings. "It's not thinking." The room froze. The Silver Commander understood immediately. "The system is down," he said. "Not destroyed. But something more important had been lost. Control." Across the battlefield, the Virex ships began to drift. Some stopped moving. Some turned in random directions. Some even collided with each other. Their perfect coordination was gone. "They've lost connection to the core," the officer said. A slow realization spread through the room. For the first time since the war began, the Virex were not a single mind anymore. They were just ships. The Silver Commander took a deep breath. His voice returned. Stronger. Clear. "All fleets," he ordered, "advance." There was no hesitation this time. Alliance ships moved forward. Together. Not as broken survivors. But as a force. They fired. And this time, it worked. Without the core, the Virex could not adapt. They could not predict. They could not react in perfect unison. One by one, their ships fell. Explosions filled the darkness. The balance of the war had changed. But inside the command room, no one celebrated. Because one question remained. "What happened to the human commander?" the blue-eyed leader asked quietly. No one answered. The officer checked the sensors again. Searching. Scanning. Hoping. Then, he stopped. I have something," he said. The screen zoomed in. A small signal appeared. Very weak. Almost gone. It was a human ship. Or what was left of it. Floating. Broken. Silent. "Is there life?" the Silver Commander asked. The officer shook his head slowly. No response. Silence filled the room again, heavy. Different this time. Not hopeless. but respectful. The blue-eyed leader closed her eyes for a moment. He knew, she said softly. From the beginning. The Silver Commander nodded. Yes. Elias had never planned to survive. He had planned to win. There was a difference. A deep one. And now they understood. Back on the battlefield, the fight continued. But it was no longer a desperate struggle. It was a cleanup. The remaining Virex ships tried to fight. But without unity, they were weak. Predictable. Alone. Alliance forces pushed forward. Sector by sector. Line by line. Victory was no longer impossible. Hours passed. Then, finally, the last Virex ship fell. The war was over. Just like that. After years of defeat. After endless loss. After believing it could never be won. It ended in a single day. Because of one change. Because of one idea. Because of humans. Inside the command ship, no one spoke for a long time. They simply watched the empty battlefield. The silence felt different now. Not cold. Not hopeless. But peaceful. The Silver Commander finally turned away from the screen. Send a signal, he said. To all remaining systems. The officer nodded. What message, he asked. The commander paused. Thinking. Then he said. The war is over. Simple. Clear. True. The officer sent the transmission. Across the stars. Across the galaxy. And slowly, responses began to come back. Shock. Disbelief. Relief. Hope. Worlds that had prepared for destruction now had a future again. But inside the command room, they knew something else. Something deeper. The blue-eyed leader stepped forward. We need to understand what just happened, she said. The others nodded. Because this was not just a victory. It was a lesson. The Silver Commander looked at the remains of the battlefield. At the broken Virex core. At the place where the human ship had disappeared. They did not win with strength, he said. They did not win with numbers. He paused. Then continued. They won with something we never used. The room was quiet. Listening. What was it? The young officer asked. The commander looked at him. Then said the one word that changed everything. Change. The blue-eyed leader smiled slightly. Yes, she said. They were always changing. While the Alliance repeated strategies, humans adapted. While others tried to match the enemy's power, humans avoided it. While everyone fought to survive, humans fought to win. Even if it meant sacrifice. Even if it meant risk. Even if it meant doing something no one else understood. The Silver Commander took a deep breath. We thought they were weak, he said. Because they were different. He looked around the room. At the leaders who had once laughed at the idea of human help. We were wrong. No one argued. Because now they knew the truth. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the most advanced. But they had something else. Something more dangerous. Something the Virex could never learn. Something the Alliance had forgotten. The ability to think differently. To act unpredictably. To take risks no system could calculate. To fight not just with logic, but with instinct. With creativity. With emotion. The blue-eyed leader looked at the stars. They didn't just save us, she said softly. They changed the way we fight. The Silver Commander nodded. Yes. He turned back to the screen one last time. At the empty space where the final moment had happened. And he spoke quietly. Almost like a message. Almost like a promise. Humans don't win because they are the strongest. He paused. Then finished. They win because they never stop changing. The words stayed in the room. Long after he spoke them. Long after the war ended. And far beyond the battlefield. Across a galaxy that had almost been lost. A new idea began to grow. Not about power. Not about fear. But about something simple. Something human. And in the quiet darkness of space, where one small ship had made the impossible choice, the future had changed forever.